In my last video, I shared some crazy stories about the placebo effect, like how people were healing from sham surgeries, or the kids who became immune to poison ivy just by their thought alone. But honestly, I cut a lot out of that other video because there was just too much to share, and I wanted to keep things simple. So today, we're gonna take this conversation further. The goal? To blow your mind. And more specifically, to give you some takeaways that you can use to elevate your whole reality. As before, many of these stories are very well documented in Joe Dispenza's books, as well as his REWIRED series. Now to start, in the comments of the last video, some people commented that the doctors who performed sham surgeries were actually committing malpractice because, well, sham surgeries. But were they really? Well, in order to answer that, let's discuss how this whole thing started, which was during World War II when American surgeon Henry Beecher ran out of morphine while treating a patient. He was really worried that the soldier would go into fatal cardiovascular shock without medication. But instead, without missing a beat, his nurse loaded up a syringe with saline, basically salt water, and injected it. Instantly, the soldier calmed down as though he had received morphine, and they did the operation without him experiencing much pain at all. Beecher saw these results over and over across the war, and in 1955, he authored a clinical review of 15 studies on the placebo and made history by calling for a new model of medical research that would become randomized controlled trials to see how far this really goes. Basically, they allowed for placebo surgeries at random in order to test the theory. And so technically, all of the doctors performing these fake surgeries weren't actually committing malpractice. They were following the industry standards of medical research, even if it might seem unethical to us today. Now, some might say, well, the ends justify the means. And that's up to you if you feel that way. And it's okay if you disagree. Nevertheless, if this research wasn't done, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation today and would have a lot less information as to just how powerful we really are. This initial study, of course, led to tons and tons of experiments, like in the 1970s, where it was discovered that the body could release endorphins, natural painkillers, just as drugs do. In this particular study, 40 dental patients getting wisdom teeth removed had huge pain relief from placebo medicine. And when the patients later were given a drug that would have removed the morphine effect, their natural effect also went away. Now you might be thinking, yeah, Patchman, but the problem with placebos is that they only work when you don't know that you're taking one. You gotta be tricked. But actually, that's not true either. In 2010, a study was done with IBS patients, irritable bowel syndrome, who were told that they'd be taking a placebo to help them with their problem. So everyone in this study fully knew that they'd be taking a sugar pill and also believed that it would help them. And you guessed it, it really worked for everyone, just from receiving the suggestion that it would relieve their symptoms regardless. The notion that we can affect our reality through thought, belief, or expectation, whether consciously or unconsciously, of course isn't new. The Bible, for instance, is filled with stories of miraculous healings for a variety of reasons. You probably remember that one of the woman who touched Yeshua's robe. She was healed because of her faith. Even if such masters are really that powerful in their energy, doesn't it take two to tango? So it would seem logical then that the person seeking healing must believe in order to receive. The hard science on this shows that our bodies can create our own endorphins, natural pain relievers, and other healing ingredients that we need on command. Truly, it seems that the human body can act like its own pharmacy, producing its own pain medication and other drugs, maybe even better than the ones that the doctors can prescribe. The big key and secret to making the whole thing work though, is our state of being. And this new research, upon its discovery, opened up an era of scientific study called psychoneuroimmunology, the effect of thoughts and emotions on the immune system, an important segment of the mind-body connection. But so far, we've only been discussing this at the top level, surgeries and faith healing, but what about everyday life for most of us? Consider your own thoughts. Do you think that you're more susceptible to getting the flu when all winter long you're seeing articles about flu season, flu shots, and stuff like that? Are we more likely to get arthritis, stiff joints, poor memory, and lower energy and sex drive as we get older just because that's what commercials and entertainment commonly depicts? What if the human body was actually designed to live much longer than we thought? What other self-fulfilling prophecies are we creating in our minds without being aware of what we're doing? And what inevitable truths can we successfully reverse simply through thinking new thoughts and choosing new belief patterns? Now, there are two more stories that I think give all of us personally some major keys to using this in our own lives and creating huge improvement day over day. The first story comes from a study in 2007 involving 84 maids and daily exercise. These maids at first did not realize that they were actually exercising every day just by doing their job, making beds, moving from room to room. And in an interview to start, 67% of the women told the researchers that they didn't exercise regularly, and about 33% said they never exercised at all. Now, there were 2 hotels that these maids worked, so they were isolated from each other, and they told all of the women in one hotel that just by doing their daily work, they were actually burning calories and doing more than the Surgeon General's recommended daily exercise amount. And for the other hotel, well, they didn't tell them that. They just let them go about their business as usual. The results, pretty mind-blowing. After 1 month, all of the maids in the first hotel lost an average of 2 pounds, lowered their percentage of body fat, and lowered their systolic blood pressure by an average of 10 points, even though they didn't change anything about the way they were living their lives. Same eating habits, same work, no added exercise. The other group, doing the exact same job, remained virtually unchanged. Now sure, 2 pounds isn't a lot, but just imagine the same effect over a longer period of time. If that number was consistent, they might lose upwards of 24 pounds over a year, or keep going until they balanced out at a more optimal body weight and muscle density for themselves. The second story has to do with students and exam taking. In 2006, a study was done where 220 female students read fake research reports claiming that men had a 5% advantage over women in math performance. However, the group was split into 2, with half of them receiving that the advantage was due to genetic factors, and others finding out that it was because of the ways teachers stereotyped boys and girls in elementary school. As you might expect, those in the first group, thinking they had a genetic disadvantage, scored lower across the board. In other words, when primed to think they were at a disadvantage, they became so. This brings us to the first useful tip for all of us wanting to activate the latent power of our minds in our lives: priming, which is when someone, someplace, or something in our environment triggers associations hardwired into our brains, causing us to act and think in certain ways without being conscious of what we're doing. It's like priming a water pump. There's gotta be water already in the pumping system in order to move water through it. So in these examples, the idea or expectation that one will do better or worse will lead to that outcome. Whether you want to call it a placebo or not, the underlying truth being revealed here is the pure power of the human mind, beliefs, and emotions upon the body of consciousness in all areas of life. From taking tests to losing weight, or straight up healing the body and creating natural pain medication without a prescription, or conversely, making ourselves susceptible to disease or illness, each of us have that much power over ourselves. I think it's fair to say that most of us have no idea just how unlimited we can become. True story, when I was a kid, probably 13 years old, my mom would drop me off at junior high school and say, just tell yourself, today's gonna be a great day. And she would do this every morning. And honestly, the whole thing made me angry. I would say, Mom, that's not how things work, thinking that she was ignorant. This was because I was bullied in school a lot and started developing a lot of repression and anxiety around that time. But only today do I realize that actually my mom was right. And if I had all of this information that I know today and taken these uplifting practices to heart, I probably would have had a much different and much better time during that age. The continuous living in a state of repression only ended up making it worse, making me more of a target for bullies and weakening my own personality and energy by not standing up for myself and being strong in heart and spirit. So I wanna invite you to consider your own thoughts and beliefs and where you might be limiting yourself. Every day is an opportunity to raise the vibration of your thoughts, think better things, and improve the quality of your life. Seriously, what if every day you just affirmed to yourself, you are becoming more attractive, more fit, more clear in mind, more aligned with your soul? You also have the profound opportunity and ability to lift others up around you, whether it be your kids, your friends, your partner, or even your parents. You can prime them for success just as you can prime yourself. Even if the thoughts and actions we change are only slight, we'll still see an upwards incline over life. Of course, you can take small jumps, or you can make massive leaps, which can happen just by bringing in more of the right information and new signals into the environment of your mind. If you want to really skyrocket to the next level, please go and watch all of the Rewired series on Gaia. It's just that good. I promise you, it's worth it. Take it in and you'll be amazed at how far you can go. Use the link in the description to check it out today, and much love. Thank you so much for watching and have an amazing day.